There's a pretty one, Ulysses. There it is.
Hello BookTube, I'm Sean the Book Maniac. Welcome back to my channel. It's time for Friday Reads, and I'm a little bit flustered, but it's totally on topic, so I'm just going to vent here for a minute. I subscribe to the TuneIn Premium, which I've talked about on a previous Friday Reads fairly recently, I believe, and canceled my Audible membership because the TuneIn Premium setup is so much better. Unlike Audible, where I would only have access to one, or if I paid the higher subscription rate, 2 audiobooks a month, which I could return if I didn't like them, but after a certain amount they cut you off, and I'm a notorious bailer. TuneIn Premium has about 40,000 audiobooks, and they are up for grabs to you at any time. There's no monthly limits, there's no credits. You pay your $12 a month or whatever it is, and you can stop and start and pick your way through the library on your own time. That has worked so much better for a choosy bailer like me. Well, my friend Electra, who also lives in Tokyo, joined after I raved about TuneIn Premium, and she got a message on her page, like on the app. She was looking at an audiobook, and there was in red print a message from TuneIn saying that audiobooks would be discontinued as of January 15th. So I freaked, and I went to my page, and I didn't see any messages like that. So I fired off a message to the help desk of TuneIn Premium and got the most annoying corporate speak reply imaginable. I wish I'd printed it to read it to you, because it just made my skin crawl. It said something like, "Thank you for your inquiry. We at TuneIn Premium are doing our best to keep our customers happy, and we are currently reevaluating how audiobooks fit into our marketing scheme going forward. We will keep all customers fully apprised." Well, why did they have a message on some people's logins that audiobooks will be canceled, but not others? Anyway, so I think it's going by the wayside. So if that's true, that means I am done with audiobooks, because I'm not going back to Audible. It's too frustrating and too expensive. So the only audiobooks I will have access to, if TuneIn dries up, because of course I will cancel my premium membership. There's nothing else there. The only other benefit you get is live NHL or NFL broadcasts. Yeah, I really care about that. With Scribd, I get 1 audiobook a month. So that will be my audio going forward. I've struggled with the medium, and it has its advantages and disadvantages. I will miss it. And I don't want to be premature, but it sounds like, with all this corporate speak and blah, 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 I think TuneIn is history. I'll probably be done with audiobooks, for at least a few years. I got so much reading done that way, and I also have almost completely stopped listening to podcasts. So I'll just go back to listening to podcasts. And maybe I'll start walking and reading. And I can read a paper book or a digital ebook on the train. I don't need to have the audio, right? So it probably won't make the difference that I think it will. But for the last 2 years, audiobooks have played been an important part of my reading experience. And I think that is coming to a close. And it seems like everybody is struggling. All the service providers are struggling with how to structure their subscription services when it comes to audiobooks. I guess it's just not financially feasible. Because when I first joined Scribd, it was unlimited audiobooks and ebooks, and then they had to cut way back and give you a monthly allotment, 3 ebooks and 1 audiobook. But when I first joined, it was unlimited. Audible, as far as I know, has always had a credit system, but I don't know that about their early days. And now I was so attracted to this unlimited service through TuneIn, but they can't make a go of it, right? But I don't care about that. So I'm kind of being a pouty little boy today, and so I got that out of my system. I've had a really good reading week, although I haven't finished books that I really wanted to finish. Today is day 1 of my Alan Hollinghurst, The Sparsholt Affair buddy read. And I had hoped to finish 3 books before that, and I didn't. I did finish 1, so I'd hoped to finish 4, and I only finished 1. But this one is not finished, not at all. I'm about 20% of the way in, the Princess Margaret biography. Not much further, 35% of the way in with this Native American Indian novel. And I started this one because I think I bailed on a book. Should I tell you? No, I won't tell you which one. But you have to compare the books discussed on this Friday Reads with the books discussed in last Friday Reads. So I started this little baby. And now that I've started the Hollinghurst buddy read, I don't really have much time to read these. So those 3 are probably... these 2 little babies I think I can finish before I go home to Canada for Christmas next Wednesday. I think I can probably finish these and the Sparsholt by then. But the Princess Margaret I will read on the plane. So, Nina Bodden. I hauled this a couple months ago, and because it was so short, I grabbed it off the stack after I bailed on a large one. Published in 1994. I don't know anything about Nina Bodden. I didn't know anything about her, but now I've checked her Wikipedia page. She died in her 90s, 5 years ago. I believe she died in 2012, and a decade before that, she and her husband were in a train accident that apparently was a famous train accident. Her husband was killed, and she was severely injured. So I don't know how severely. This is just what it said on the Wikipedia page, but she would have been in her 80s. And she testified at the Royal Commission, or whatever the investigation was, about the accident, and her testimony was part of a play that was written about that train accident, and I believe the playwright's name is David Hare. That's a sad end to what sounded like it was a lovely and literary life. This novel is really working for me. I'm only on page 23, but I'm really enjoying it. So it's about this hapless travel agent, George. The title's George Beneath a Paper Moon. I haven't mentioned that yet. And George is a really successful travel agent. He's got a certain kind of spiritual intuition which helps him choose travel packages for his clients that they don't know they need and which change their lives. So it's not a really spiritual thing. It's just kind of described in comedic terms. So that's kind of interesting. But as the back cover said, he is worried that he fathered his best friend's child. His best friend is Sam, and he's worried that he fathered Sam's wife's child. But I haven't gotten into that, but it's really confusing because during some kind of a bus tour where he's the tour guide and taking the people overnight, he ends up drinking with one of the customers that's on the tour, and this old man tells him that he fathered his best friend's child. So I don't know how that's going to fold into George's misadventures, but I'm curious. But I'm really enjoying it. Also, this has only got like a 3.3 star rating on Goodreads. So there's the whole thing about Goodreads rating. So maybe it's going to go south, but it's starting out really engaging. I'm really enjoying it. Now here's something about reading. This book, I am enjoying the writing, but I don't like reading a pocketbook, like a mass market paperback. And it's old, and the pages are really yellow, and they smell. You know that old musty book smell? I don't mean like it smells like it's gotten wet, but it's just a really strong smell from an old book, and it's turning me off the book. Is that bad? Fonts can do that to me too. If I don't like the font, I don't usually like the book. So, how superficial am I? But I finally just stumbled on a quote at the end of part 1 that totally sucked me in. So, no, the writing is very good. I'll continue. But mass market paperbacks, I usually don't get them. This was a gift, and I'll keep going with it. But it's detracting from the experience. And the smell. So I've read section 1 of this, and I will be giving my comments to the guys that I'm buddy reading it with on Voxer in a few hours, but this won't go up until after that. So I will also give some impressions to you. It's really good! 100 pages. The first section's 100 pages. And it starts at Oxford during the Blitz. So all the windows are blacked out every night and no lights. And boy, does that ever enhance the opportunity for men to have sex with men in 1941 in Oxford campus when everything's dark all the time. Alan Hollinghurst infuses his stories with an eroticism that you can't actually point to a sentence or a turn of phrase. Sometimes you can, but it's deeper than that. And I'm not going to be graphic or crude here. But I want to somehow express that I'm just kind of aroused all the time I'm reading his fiction. He just does that so well. It's not there like the one time where he could have written a graphic sex scene, he didn't. In his earlier novels, he did. I wasn't disappointed, but so it's not graphically sexual. I don't mean that, but he writes about homoerotic desire. I can't think of anybody who does it better. Sparsholt is this young stud, 17 years old, who shows up at Oxford, and all the other gay or bi-curious guys are watching him working out in his singlet or less through the window before the windows get blacked out at night, and then it goes from there. So far I'm finding it really gripping. Others have said it's kind of dry, and I've got a long way to go. Maybe the next section will be dry, but this one, it's gorgeous. I'm going to read you a longer quote. It's a one paragraph quote, but it's a long paragraph, and it doesn't show any of the erotic stuff, I don't think. It just sets the scene so vividly of Oxford during the blackout. This is the narrator, at least of section 1. His name is Freddie, and so far I don't know what his sexuality is, but maybe bi or maybe straight, I don't know. But he's walking a fellow classmate, a woman named Jill, home after some party or something, through this darkened campus, and I just thought it was a striking passage. Now the lane was a little black canyon, its gabled and chimneyed rim just visible to us against the deep charcoal of the sky. Clouds, in peacetime, carried and dispersed the colors of the lights below, but in the blackout an unmediated darkness reigned. I thought I knew this street I'd walked along 100 times, but memory seemed not quite to match the dim evidence of doorways, windows, railings that we passed. I asked Jill about her work, and she at once grew less self-conscious. She was reading history, but her interests were in archaeology, and in the remarkable things revealed by the London Blitz. She explained how bombs that knocked down city churches sometimes cut through the layers below, Tudor, medieval, Roman, exposing them in ways no organized human effort could have done. The human aspects of the devastation, the loss of life and home, clearly struck her rather less. She spoke excitedly about coins, coffins, bricks, fragments of pottery. I said it must be frustrating for her that Oxford itself had barely been damaged, and watched, if one can watch in the dark, her recognition and disposal of a joke. From the start, she'd been one of those who passed through student life with their eyes set firmly on the future. It was an urgent process, not a beautiful delay. Now the future for all of us had changed, the town pervaded by a mood of transience and of near readiness for action, which it never saw. Did other friends share my feeling we might lose the war, and soon? Defeatist talk was rare, and censored itself as it began. Jill had made her choice for the army, but her mind was on the great things she would do once the war was won. I love that. I think he is such a good writer. So, it's 5 sections. Each section is around 100 pages, some longer, some a little bit shorter, and we're going to do it a section a day, so I'll finish this on Tuesday, and fly home to Canada on Wednesday. But I can't read it and only it, so I am going to dip into these other books and, like I say, hopefully finish the 2 short paperbacks. But that's the kind of reading week I've had. How's your reading week been, and what are you up to, reading-wise or otherwise, this Friday? I'm off to work for 90 minutes, and then I'm going to come home and edit this baby and maybe get a head start on the second section of Hollinghurst, so I don't have so much reading to do tomorrow. Thanks for watching.